Good morning. It's Friday the 13th. For those who celebrate, 7:16 in the morning here in western Iowa. Action-packed show for you today. We're going to take a close look at the ice that's coming to Iowa starting this afternoon, maybe this evening. We'll take a closer look at how that's supposed to pan out. And then if you stay till the end, we'll have an early look at where there'll be a white Christmas. Let's start with our hazards around the country. And there it is. We've got winter weather advisories and even an ice storm warning for parts of Iowa. The winter weather advisories include eastern Nebraska, a little bit of Kansas and Missouri, and parts of Minnesota and South Dakota, even getting into Illinois a little bit. And then you go to the west coast, we see some heavy snows there for the Sierra Nevada winter storm warnings. Also the Siskiyous of Northern California. Could be flooding along the California coast and wind issues all around that into southern Oregon. And then we also have winter storm watches for parts of Idaho into Wyoming. And it's a winter weather advisory for the Cascades of Oregon, Washington, maybe even getting into the Columbia River Gorge. Our weather spotlight takes us back to Harlan, Iowa, where I live, and this is going to be our focus today. It's 10 degrees out there this morning. Feels like -2. We will be warming up with a silver thaw as we're looking with our winter weather advisory starts this afternoon, I think at 3, goes until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, with a chance of freezing rain, maybe some sleet, maybe a little snow, and then freezing rain to rain Saturday. So let's take a closer look at that on the North American model, the NAM, and we'll start with this morning. Not much going on. And then, oh, look at this. I want to start. So here we start seeing the freezing rain starting in parts of Kansas into Missouri. This is Friday. 21Z -6 is 15, -12 is 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll start to see that freezing rain moving northward. And so by 6 o'clock this evening, a little later start than our watch is, but what could happen is we might get some freezing drizzle before we start to see the freezing rain. Now this starts out as a little bit of rain. This is my county right here, Shelby County. And Harlan's right about there. And so we see some rain, freezing rain, sleet, moving in 6 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock tonight is when it really gets going. The good news here is most people will be off the streets by then. So things are going to start to get slickery as we get into the evening hours with freezing rain and some sleet across the area. Then we go till midnight tonight. Freezing rain, sleet, and a little bit of snow continue here. Then I did it again. All right, this is midnight right here. And then we go back. This is 3 a.m. So really coming down northern Missouri into central Iowa with the sleet and the freezing rain. And then the mixture of freezing rain and snow goes up into Minnesota, and then it's all snow further north. Then Saturday morning, this is 6 a.m. So we're still showing freezing rain this is Audubon County here. So freezing rain in the area still. Omaha still freezing rain, 6 a.m. And then Des Moines just getting hit hard, and other parts of the state where they have the freezing rain warning, they're going to have more over here. So it's going to be worse as you head east. Then we get later into the day, Saturday, and we're starting to see things changing to rain in central Iowa. Hanging on to the freezing rain, Shelby County, though, and a little bit of snow mixing in as well. And then we get to noon, a little bit of snow on the backside. Here's Denison. Here's, again, Harlan. So, I don't know if these plots are going to be exact. This is a computer run, but this gives you an idea of what to expect. So even at noontime, hanging on to some of those colder temperatures. And then this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's more snow for northern Iowa into Minnesota, freezing rain for eastern Iowa into Wisconsin and Illinois. Then it's rain and snow as we get into Saturday night, and into Sunday it moves into the Great Lakes. So that's kind of what we can expect here. Here are ice amounts. This is the GFS. No, is this? I don't know. This is, I think it's an ensemble. So we're looking at close to 1/10 of an inch of ice here in western Iowa. Maybe a little bit more, but right around 1/10 of an inch. And then further east, it's going to be more than that. So tonight is the worst of it. And then things start to improve as we go through the day tomorrow. But even tomorrow morning could be a little bit treacherous. So you definitely want to check your conditions before you venture out tomorrow morning. All right, let's get to our regularly broadcast, our regularly scheduled programming. And we go with current temps. Here's our 10 in western Iowa, also Des Moines. A little warmer than that as in Omaha as usual. A little colder than that as you head north as usual. And those low teens hanging on in the Great Lakes, and mid to upper teens as you get over into Pennsylvania, and that turns into the 20s as you get closer to the coast in New England. But you head south, and currently it's chilly in the southeast, 30s and 40s. We've got 40s and 50s and even a few 60s in Texas. The west is on the chilly side. We got to see a 32 there in Boise. Lots of 20s in the Rockies, of course, eastern Oregon into Nevada. 40s, central California to near 50, and even 50s in southern Arizona. Your 24-hour temperature change, it is warmer than it was this time yesterday. A lot warmer in parts of Texas and into the western southeast, the Mississippi River Valley. A little cooler than it was this time yesterday, say Georgia and up to the mid-Atlantic, and then colder than it was yesterday up in New England, and then a few degrees north or south of average for much of the rest of the country. Surface today, there's your freezing rain, possible Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, a little bit of South Dakota into Illinois. The west, heavy snow, California, parts of Oregon and Idaho. And then it's showers as you head further south into Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas. Anomalous temperatures today, still well below average for the upper Midwest, even the northern plains a little bit, upper Midwest more, and into the Great Lakes more below average. And the East Coast generally slightly below average. A little bit more above average, West Texas, eastern New Mexico, and also up into Montana, Wyoming, parts of Idaho. Highs today. We'll keep it in the 20s here in Iowa. Now, we didn't get out of the teens yesterday, so a little warmer than yesterday, but definitely cold enough for that freezing rain and that silver thaw that's coming. You've got teens and single digits up there in northern Minnesota. And, temperatures in the 50s in the southeast, 40s, some 30s in the west, and warm 60s, looks like, to near 70 for southern Arizona, and pretty warm in Florida. That's why people go there, I guess. Low temperatures tomorrow. Still in the 20s here in Iowa. Our low is probably going to be midnight, and then we'll start to slowly warm up, but maybe not above freezing till early afternoon here in western Iowa. We'll see. The timing of that's going to be critical for travel tomorrow morning. And then you get further north, temperatures in the teens still hanging on, also in the northeast, 40s and 50s for the southeast, so still chilly. And down there in Florida, a little bit warmer to start the day. Now, tomorrow's surface. So this starts you in the morning and then shows you what's going to happen during the day. So showing rain here for the southern half of Iowa, and then that'll be moving off to the east. Freezing rain, northern Iowa into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. And then the west, we're looking at heavy rain, flooding possible, central coast, San Francisco north, heavy snow for the mountains and also into Oregon and the mountains of Idaho and moving over into Montana. Some freezing rain possible too for parts of eastern Montana. Anomalous temperatures tomorrow, warming up pretty much everywhere. So slightly above average to a little more than that above average for most of the country, slightly below average, Great Lakes, Northeast, and Mid-Atlantic. Highs tomorrow, hanging on to the 40s and 50s Mid-Atlantic, hanging on to the 30s for the Northeast, and also 20s and 30s Northern Plains, Northern Midwest. But here in Iowa, we're looking more like 30s to near 40. And then you get down into Kansas, Oklahoma, 50s, turns into 60s, turns into 70s in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and cool in the west. Not necessarily cold, but cool. 48-hour precipitation looks like this. There you see the rain and freezing rain in the Midwest. Moving into the Ohio Valley. Some decent rains there for, say, near Memphis, the Arkansas side of the river, and also near Memphis, Olive Branch, where some of my cousins are. Hey, cuz. And around the Memphis area. And those looks like maybe an inch and a half at the most here. The heavy stuff is California, Northern California. So like over 4 inches of rain. And in the mountains, that's going to be a lot of snow. A lot of snow. So Siskiyous along the Sierra Nevada, we start to see some of those purples, 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow perhaps. Still Great Lakes piling up. So parts of New York into Michigan, we're looking at 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow as well. And then scattered light snow amounts across the northern plains into the Midwest and even parts of the Ohio Valley. Surface on Sunday. As we round out the weekend, your weekend forecast or your time back. Freezing rain now moving into New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee in the mountains there. Otherwise, it's regular rain and then showers back behind the front. And the northern plains, a big area of freezing rain. Again, silver thaw. Montana, North Dakota, a little bit of South Dakota with a mix around that. Snow behind that front, and could be heavy around Yellowstone in Wyoming, Idaho, and then lingering rain and snow for the Northwest. Anomalous temperatures Sunday. Look at that warm up. Just above average right through the center of the country, slightly below east and west. Highs on Sunday, those 70s in Texas, peaking up into Oklahoma with 60s, Kansas 50s, 40s here in Iowa, Minnesota 30s, South Dakota 30s to 50s, hanging on to freezing up there in northern North Dakota, hanging on to the 30s in the Northeast, but definitely warming up pretty much everywhere. All right, let's go now to the GFS and see what we have. We'll start this morning, and we'll go a little bit quicker, but we see heavy rain and snow for Northern California. Then we start to see our low develop here with our ice and snow into Iowa and parts of Minnesota. This gets us into tonight, then midnight tonight, and then we get into Saturday. This is more aggressive with the rain. Saturday morning at 6 a.m. shows a little bit of rain for southern Iowa, but still ice and a lot of ice in eastern Iowa. And there you see the rain and snow for the Northwest, heavy at times. Central California is going to get walloped with rain, and then that moves into the Sierras with heavy snow. And as we get into the day Saturday, this is Saturday evening, moving into Sunday, so quite a bit of rain here, moving into the Ohio Valley down through Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, a little bit of Texas, some rains here in Idaho, and looks like rain at the lower elevations, but snow around the mountains. And then as we head through the rest of Sunday, we're seeing rain move in on top of all that snow in the Great Lakes. A little bit of snow up here in the northern plains, a little bit of snow hanging on in New York State, and you can see some of that mixture. But it's some rain here on top of that snow, and a little bit of snow too. And then we see our next shot of cold air is going to come in behind this low. So a little bit of snow on Monday up in the northern plains. Another area of lots of rain moving from Missouri into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, snow up there in the upper Midwest, rain and snow northwest. This is Monday, lots of rain on top of the snow, but you see the cold air coming in behind, and then we see our mixture of rain and snow depending on elevation and location for the west, for the northwest. Tuesday early morning, Tuesday morning, Tuesday noon, and then we get into later Tuesday night. So we're starting to see cooler air for the upper Midwest and lingering snows up here in the northern parts of the Rockies, rain and snow for the Northwest. And then as we get into Wednesday, that colder air making its way south again into the Central Plains. And we'll show you that on our temperatures, of course. And so that colder air is going to intrude all the way down into Kansas as we get into the day Wednesday. Some more lake effect, lake enhanced snows for parts of the Great Lakes, Cold air dipping all the way down into Missouri, moving into Kentucky and Tennessee. Ahead of that, some good rains. This is Thursday of next week. And then that rain continues off to the east. Still rain for Pennsylvania, changing to snow. And the rain getting heavier along the east coast, and more snow as you get into the northeast. That cold air dipping all the way into the southeast for another cool off. And cold here in the Midwest too. This gets us into Thursday of next week. And more snow moving into the eastern Great Lakes. Windy and cold as we get into Thursday night and Friday. Cold temperatures in the Midwest, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and North, and warmer for the rest. And then if we speed through the rest, you can see another big area of cold air coming. This is Saturday, so a week from tomorrow. Snow for Tennessee. Could be. Sorry, cuz. We'll see if it comes true. Kentucky, West Virginia, some snow. We're getting more than a week out, so we'll see. But South Carolina snow, North Carolina snow as we get into Saturday night and Sunday. Could be. And then this low, if it moves along the coast, starting to look a little nor'easter-like, but it looks like it heads out to sea. And then you see the warm air coming back. Oh my goodness. As we get into, this is Christmas Eve morning, it's just going to warm up. And when I show you the white Christmas map at the end, it doesn't look good if you want a white Christmas, depending on where you are, of course. And then some heavy rains for Texas and some snow up here in the Northwest this is the day after Christmas now. All right, highs Monday, warming up across the southeast and into the Ohio, all the way up into the Ohio Valley. We got 40s here in Iowa for Monday. But turning cooler up in the northern plains as we get into Tuesday. The teens return from North Dakota, South Dakota below freezing. Same, I don't know what happened there. Minnesota and Wisconsin too. We're a little bit above freezing here in Iowa, but that's going to change as we get into Wednesday. Colder air, cooler for the southern plains. Still hanging on to the warmth for the southeast, and of course it's warm in southern Arizona. Then we get into Thursday. That cold air gets even further south into the plains, making further eastward progress too. All right, that's our 7-day forecast. So the freezing temperature is returning back to Iowa mid next week. 8 to 14 days, 20th through the 26th, so including Christmas, above average. Good chance of above average for the western 2/3 of the country. Below, southeast, into Florida. Precipitation-wise, dry. It's just dry. So here we go. You ready? Drum roll, please. This is your early look at a white Christmas. This is snow on the ground at noon on Christmas. Oh my goodness, that is sparse. But find your location and read them and weep, as they say in poker. But the Carolina storms? Could it be a little bit of a white Christmas for parts of North Carolina? I don't know. Maybe. We'll certainly see, and we'll certainly keep you updated. We're going to keep this map in at the end as we get closer to Christmas and keep track of that and all of your weather, of course. So thanks for tuning in, The Weather Mike. We'll see you again tomorrow.